Football, and Oxford United have won the Milk Cup. They beat Queen's Park Rangers 3-0 in the final at Wembley. Sean Walsh was there.
It was a controversial incident which brought this, the last Milk Cup final, alive. Oxford striker John Aldridge, one of the league's leading goal scorers, was clear, but the referee was unmoved by calls for a penalty. Then, just before half-time, Trevor Hebbard kept his composure and hit Oxford into the lead. Minutes into the second half, and Queen's Park Rangers' defence was beaten again, this time by Ray Houghton. 2-0 to Oxford, and although there were a few heart-stopping moments for their supporters, it was the bearded Jeremy Charles who finished it, scoring on his daughter's birthday. 3-0 and victory to Oxford in their first Wembley final. But despite the jubilation, the battle to avoid relegation remains ahead of them.
The 6th annual London Marathon attracted a record field of nearly 20,000. For some it was serious athletics, for others Sunday was a fun day. But nearly 4,000 of them were treated for cramps, sore feet and blisters, and 3 went to hospital.
It was the world's largest ever marathon and the first in London to receive a royal send-off. Prince Charles called it delightfully demented. There was the usual mix of serious athletes and fun runners, firemen, cab drivers, stockbrokers and wheelchair racers, more than a third of them over 40, the oldest being 82. 2,000 youngsters also took part in a mini-marathon. The pouring rain and the early fast pace took its toll on the Japanese favourite Seiko, who finished in just over 2 hours 10 minutes, outside last year's record. Britain's Hugh Jones was about a minute and a half behind. 13 minutes later, the first woman crossed the finishing line, Greta Weitz from Norway. Not everyone made it. 5 hours on, and they were still romping, or often limping, home. A record number of finishers in a marathon which generated over £4 million for charity.
There's a new name in the record books tonight, that of Tracy Nelson from Chesterfield. Only that's hardly how she should be addressed. For Tracy was christened with a total of 140 names, all of her own.
Lila, Camilla, Candace.
3.5-month-old Tracy Nelson was on her best behaviour for her marathon christening. The original list of 270 names came down to 140 for the big day. It took the vicar over 2 minutes to read the list.
Tony, Penny, Shari, Zaza, Queenie.
Tracy's parents couldn't settle on a final choice, hence the list. Their solicitor checked with the Registrar General, and he ruled that she should have no more names than could be fitted on her birth certificate. They're still in dispute.
Because I want them. I'm not going to give in to him.
You can't see any why they don't just produce a larger birth certificate or whatever and give us what we want.
There could be a slight embarrassment to Tracy later on, except I doubt if she'll ever use them all.
She's now become known as Tracy Etc. And just in case her full name never does make her birth certificate, it was there for all to see on her big day.
And that's all from the newsroom for this weekend. Good night.
After the bombing of Libya, the repercussions worldwide. From the Arab world, a threat. More terror, not less, will follow. From Israel, a warning. Gaddafi is only one among many. And from America, a promise. We're ready to back Reagan again. That's Terrorism, the Elusive Enemy. Panorama tomorrow at 9:30.
Good evening to you. The question on everybody's lips at the moment is, when are we going to see spring? And the answer, I'm afraid, is certainly not this week, because with this area of low pressure slipping down towards the country, it looks as if it's going to remain fairly cold and unsettled. Now, as far as tonight's concerned, for most northern and eastern parts, I think it will be fine and dry. But before the night's out, there will be more rain getting into Northern Ireland, Wales and those southwestern parts. A fairly chilly night you're going to find it in the north and east, maybe a touch of ground frost in some of the sheltered glens of Scotland. And then tomorrow morning, well, some bright weather to begin with in the northeastern half of the country, but you'll have that rain in the southwest, and during the course of the morning, that's going to spread into the rest of England as well, although somewhat brighter weather beginning to show up in the extreme southwest, and then in the afternoon it'll brighten up probably in Northern Ireland, Wales and many southern parts of England. But as it brightens up, it's certainly not going to become dry. There'll be some sunshine, but a fair number of quite heavy showers coming along as well. Also in the afternoon, the rain crossing the border and moving up into central areas of Scotland. It's really the north of Scotland, I think, that will get away with the best of it tomorrow, probably staying mostly dry, fairly bright too, with some sunshine. As for temperatures, pretty meagre again in most parts of the country. 9 to 11 degrees Celsius is only around about the 50 degrees Fahrenheit mark. In fact, particularly cold along that eastern coast.
On breakfast time this Monday, grand celebrations for Her Majesty the Queen at 60. Happy birthday from the children of Britain and the Grenadier Guards. Cheers from the winners of our Loyal Toast competition. Artists' impressions of our modern monarch. Local tributes from the Royal Estates. Congratulations from a loyal Commonwealth, and a happy birthday from breakfast time for Her Majesty the Queen at 60. That's breakfast time this Monday at 10 to 7 until 10.
And back to Sunday evening now for the Rock Gospel Show.